In September of 1981, Muse Software produced one of the earliest examples of the stealth video game genre, Castle Wolfenstein. The game was made for the Apple II computers and then ported over to both DOS and the Commodore 64. And from this simple beginning, this game would produce a franchise that has endured for 40 years. As such, to celebrate its 40-year anniversary, we are going to take a look at some of the more prominent titles of the Wolfenstein series. And we'll start things off by looking at the first one, Castle Wolfenstein. The game is played on a top-down perspective where you play as an unnamed soldier in World War II, armed with a pistol and 10 bullets. Your mission? Infiltrate the castle, find the documents, and escape. As you start the game off, you need to investigate these green chests and abscond with all their belongings. Okay, let's talk about the controls. Now, you might be thinking that the game uses the standard WASD control scheme, and you would be 3/4 right. As W moves you upwards, while A and D move you left and right respectively. Unfortunately, the S key does not move you downwards. In actuality, that button stops your progress. So, you need to use that so you can stop either on top of chests or on top of the downed enemy. So you can steal all their gear using the U or space button. So how do you move down? Well, that's where you have to use the X key. That's right. X moves you down. And as for Q, E, Z, and C, those keys move you diagonally. Yeah. This game was made before all the conventions were developed for proper PC gaming. So this is a lot of fun looking back on this sort of thing. And speaking of Wild West style game development, the L button here is used to pull out your pistol, and the keys that surround the L button, they're the ones that determine where you're going to aim your gun. And automatically, I'm just imagining something amazing. This game came out back in 1981, but they probably unintentionally came up with concepts and ideas that would be utilized in more modern roguelike shooter games like Enter the Gungeon, where you're using different keys to move and aim at the same time. It's just wild seeing that being incorporated so early on in gaming history. But you want to know what's even crazier? You won't believe this, because I certainly don't. This game actually has randomly generated level design. Yeah, every time you start a new game with a new profile, the game will change the order of the levels. So no two playthroughs will be exactly alike. That's just wild to me, that we saw a game so ahead of its time, but so old. It's just insane. Anyway, there are 60 levels to investigate in this castle, and a lot of green chests and downed Nazis to look for spare keys and bullets. Which you will need to traverse through the lower levels of this castle to find the documents. However, one of the tricks in this game is that you can find a spare Nazi uniform and a bulletproof vest that will allow you to pass through unseen as a normal agent, and also provide you some extra protection against enemy gunfire. There is also the use of grenades, but free advice: don't use them. While they can technically kill SS agents, if you throw a grenade at a certain green box, and it was either carrying grenades or cannonballs or other explosives, the entire castle goes boom. I guess explosions just aren't useful in a stealth mission. Who knew? So the game ends when you find the documents and escape the castle, and you are given a promotion from private to field marshal based solely on your performance and how many levels you investigated and how many times you alerted the armed guards. This is actually pretty impressive on a technical level. Not only can you steal enemy uniform from spare boxes, you can also hold up an enemy with your pistol, and you can then ask them to give you the keys and extra bullets. And it's very reminiscent of Metal Gear Solid, with the whole gathering information to help with your stealth-based infiltration. It's also funny noticing how this game created elements and mechanics that would be used for games for the last decade, with various roguelikes. It's just fascinating to see this sort of thing. However, and this is where I have to be the bad guy here, the game is still pretty repetitive. There are so many ways you can get lost if you're not properly prepared. You need to be making your own map, I think. So yeah, that was Castle Wolfenstein. An interesting idea, but sadly not one that lasted well. I guess we could take a quick look at Beyond Castle Wolfenstein, the sequel. The story for this game works very simple, and it's also pretty amazing. Okay, get this. Infiltrate the secret Nazi headquarters. Find an explosive. Set it up in a meeting room with Hitler and his war staff. Escape. That's right. We're taking down Hitler in this game. With an explosive. This is probably one of the best plots for a video game I've ever seen. There's not much to say about this game from a technical level. It's pretty close to the original one. You have the same movements and setup. You have the same use of guns, except now you can drag enemies after you kill them, so that the rest of the Nazi agents don't notice something going wrong. And you can also use the number keys to hold up fake IDs so that they think you're a Nazi agent. Okay, it was one thing when this game had you disguising yourself and moving enemy agents and so that they wouldn't be discovered, and gathering weapons and explosives from the base itself. It's one thing to be inspiring Hitman, but when you actually are... but if this game is implying that it's inspiring Papers, Please, that's where we have to stop before this gets crazier. Okay, let's wrap this up. So you grab the bomb, and the bomb's counter goes down. Whoops. You make it to Hitler's bunker. Headed up, and you have to escape before the bomb explodes. Sure, why not uninspire Metroid at this point? And yeah, the game ends with a glorious image of this Nazi base exploding. Huh. I guess explosions are great for stealth missions. And you get a important message from your superiors informing you that that no one else could have performed as well as you did on this mission. Damn straight. So this game was also pretty bad as well, sadly, which is a shame, but it's pretty similar to its predecessor. Some interesting ideas were implemented, but they weren't as well utilized, and the game honestly doesn't have good visuals because of its limited palette. But the fact that it came up with these mechanics and ideas that would later used in more prolific games and titles those 40 years down the line is nothing short of impressive, and I think that's something to be impressed with. So yeah, next time we will take a look at what happens when id Software bought the rights to this game with Wolfenstein 3D.